Hi everybody, Lori here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited to be a part of the July release blog hop with Pinkfresh Studio, and I have a couple of projects to share with you using some new goodies from their July release. Here they are: Home for the Holidays, A Day in the City, and then this Cityscape die, which is so cool that it coordinates with both of these stamp sets. So I'm going to show you how I do that, starting with this cool Cityscape die. I'm die cutting that into a panel of white cardstock. I'm using Neenah Solar White. And then once you get that die cut, you can add your images that fit perfectly. Just like, now if you turn the stamp set over, which I should have shown you, it shows you kind of how to line these up if you're not sure. It gives you some ideas how to use them. Here's how I'm using them. I'm stamping the building right there, right where it fits in like a puzzle piece. Then I add a few accessories on the side. Now I'm stamping the banner. And since I'm trying to bring out the Christmas vibe, I'm making the banner red. I use some Apple Pigment ink by Mama Elephant. See how the banner and the sentiment just fits like snug as a bug in a rug right there, because the Cityscape die just does all the work for you. Now for the images, coloring them in with Copics. I don't get too spicy with the Copics. I keep it very simple. Now I sped this up because I color slow. I like to take my time. But you can see my marker caps there if you want to know exactly what colors I used. I usually use a few because I like to have the gradient. Like I like the bottom of the building to be darker. And then I use a few to fade it up into the lighter. So we got a green tree, a blue house, a red building, and then the last one, she's orange. Now, there's lots of adorable little accessory images in this Home for the Holidays stamp set. So I'm going to take a few of those to accessorize the buildings. There's a little wreath. I'm going to stamp that right on the building. So I'm using some green Mojito pigment ink, and then I'll add a red bow to the wreath. Now for the other two buildings, just stamping some garland, some holiday garland. I got the idea from all of this on the back of the stamp set. Kind of shows you what you can do. Some options. And then here and there, stamping a few snowflakes using fresh mint. Again, Mama Elephant pigment inks. I love the pigment inks. They stamp like butter, and they never let me down. And they're subtle, nice and light. So just about done with this part. Now turning this into a shaker, like I say. So behind the window, I wanted to do a little bit of ink blending. So I'm using a combination of cracked pistachio and Mermaid Lagoon. And again, giving it that gradient feel. See how that'll look right there? Now to create the shaker, I'm using some Hero Arts acetate. And I'm adhering that to the back of the panel using some 1/4 inch score tape. So slapping that down. And then I'll put a bunch of foam tape on the back. This is how you create the shaker. I left just a little bit of opening there to fill it. Not much opening, but just a little bit. I'm filling it with this snowflake confetti by Pretty Pink Posh. I love the confetti because it's nice and flat. So you don't have to double up the foam tape or anything. Doesn't create too much bulk. And there you have it. Bada boom, bada bing. There's a holiday shaker. So fun and festive. It's light. It's fresh. But yet it's merry. And now we're moving on to the second card. This one's not going to be a shaker. I'm going to partially die cut this Cityscape die. So I have a whole card base here, and I'm running the Cityscape die, but I don't die cut it all the way through. That way the hinge in the middle of that card base stays intact. You'll see what I mean here. When I take this off, you can fold it. Boom. You have your card base, but you got that nice Cityscape die cut window in there. Now I'm going to die cut another one using the Cityscape onto some aqua cardstock. This is actually Hawaiian Shores cardstock by Paper Tray Ink. This is actually going to be adhered to the front of the card. So I wanted my card front to be aqua, but I wanted the card base to be white. So now I'm stamping some of the images from A Day in the City. And the first one I did the buildings. I stamped those with Memento. You're not really going to see the buildings. I'm going to paper piece the buildings. Now for everything else, all the little accessories, the banner, and the sentiment, Everything else is going to be embossed in white. So that's why I chose to do an aqua card front, because I knew I wanted to emboss all these fun little images in white and it would pop. So you could really do this in any color that you want. I just chose to do aqua. You know my favorite part of this whole thing is? That cutie patootie little bike right down there in front of the buildings. Adorable little bike. Now I'm embossing the sentiment, and I love that little sun that tucks in right there above the sentiment. So everything's embossed in white. And then next I'm going to paper piece the buildings. So stamp them onto my aqua card front. Now I'm stamping them a second time onto some white cardstock. I'm going to color them with Copics. Pretty much just how I did on the first card. Nothing fancy schmancy going on here. Just simple. Do the first building in red, second building in orange, third building in, you guessed it, take a guess, yellow. That is correct. Now, there's no coordinating dies for these stamp sets, but I don't really need it anyway because, like I said, I'm on paper piece. So when you paper piece, you have to cut right up to the line. And I knew I could do it with this because very, very simple straight cuts. There's no curves, nothing too high tech. Now I'm going to start adhering everything together using my Kikuyo tape runner to adhere the aqua panel onto the white card base, just like so. And then for the buildings, again, some tape runner on the back of those. I'm going to just slap those right on top of the already stamped buildings. That's what you call paper piecing. And now just for a little something something, nothing too crazy, I'm going to add some Copic coloring to the embossed images. So I took some colors that kind of match the aqua cardstock. I didn't want to be too distracting. I just wanted to add a little bit of shading. I think it really just adds something to it, don't you think? Just a little, for lack of a better term, something something. And then there's some clouds in the Day in the City stamp set that I'm going to stamp on the inside of the card, and you'll be able to see them through the window. I guess, would you call this a window card? Do these kind of cards have names? I don't think I've ever heard it before, but I'm going to call it a window card. So I stamped 3 clouds, and then when you open it, look at that. Would you look at that? So you got a window card, you got a shaker card. One's for the holidays, one's for a birthday. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you check out the rest of the blog hop and check out the Pinkfresh Studio July release. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.